Alright, a very good evening YouTube. It's Captain Nabs here with you once again, and I'm here to give you something that I've been meaning to put up here for a very long time, and just has not really worked out for me, various circumstances, and just not happy with the quality of some recordings that I've tried to make to do this. And what I am bringing you today here is my first impression here, although it's not really my first impression anymore because I have put quite a few hours into this airplane, of the PMDG 747-400 Queen of the Skies. That's right, the Queen of the Skies is something I picked up not too long ago, and I have really enjoyed it. I've made a lot of use of it. So today you're having a quick look at the cargo model here, the UPS 747 here, and just what an impressive model. And I booted this thing up, I played with it a little bit, and I've opened everything up here. Basically, this thing is wide open. All the doors are open. The front door, side loading doors, the aft cargo doors, everything is open. And just what a fantastic model this is, first of all. This is just, it's what can I say? It's huge. It's so detailed. I have had quite a few chances to fly it around. I haven't had a chance to make a really nice recording. I'm hoping tonight it's going to work out. We have a little bit of ATC available this evening here on the VATSIM network, so I'm going to try and get a nice video here of my one of, not certainly my first impressions, but definitely some of my impressions of the Queen of the Skies and how I try to fly it here. It's going to be a little bit different because I often end up flying the passenger version, but the freighter version is fun in its own way. First of all, just the fact that you can disassemble the whole airplane pretty much here. And PMDG, of course, includes all of their nice ground equipment here, ground support equipment. So even if you don't have GSX, you can simulate certainly some of the loading aspects. However, if you do have GSX, then it gets even better, because then of course you can launch and actually load some pallets, of course, into the underbelly of the aircraft. Of course, the trouble with this aircraft is that it's huge, and GSX, not all the parking spots that you try to get it into are designed or are allowed to work under GSX. So, nevertheless, here we are. We're going to try and get this flight underway here. So I'll show you quickly how I boot this airplane up. It's basically almost a cold and dark state. It's basically almost completely powered down. I think the external power is hooked up, but I don't believe anything is turned on basically at this point. So without further ado, I'm going to hop in the flight deck and get this underway here. For those of you that don't recognize the airport, we are in Minneapolis today. So we're going to be doing a flight from Minneapolis to Toronto, one of my favorite airports, of course, one I know well. So yeah, we'll see if we can get this on the road here. So very quickly here, quick little volume adjustment there just to make sure it is loud enough. And yeah, so what we've basically got the airplane the way we would step into it on a on a turn. The airplane's basically been more or less almost shut down. The only thing is that the electrical power has not actually been removed from the airplane, but otherwise it's basically in almost a cold and dark state. So we could skip the electrical power up checklist because as you can see on the electrical panel here, there's already power on. You'll notice that on the cargo version, and this is something that always gets people, today we have one external power on and one external power off, showing available but not on. And this is very important because the doors that you saw out there, especially the giant front door, runs on external power. But if the aircraft is connected to the external power, then it can't operate. So it has to be, you can connect one of the external power circuits to the airplane, but then you have to leave the other one off, and that connects it to the nose door operating circuit. So if you have the PMDG airplane and you're having trouble closing that nose door, oh, it won't close for me when I press the button, it's probably because you have either the APU or external power. You need one of them not to be active. Anywho, jumping right into it, we're going to quickly here do, let's see here. We did get a quick little PDC there from Minneapolis Center. I'm going to read it a little bit later. First, we're just going to do some preliminary pre-flights. So first thing we have to do is turn all of our IRSs into nav mode. They will align and then be ready for navigation. I have it in realistic mode. It takes about anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes for them to align, but while you're doing everything else, they could be aligning. And carrying on with the preliminary pre-flight, go down and just check the status display and make sure that there is nothing untowards in the status display here. There's a recall button here which can show you multiple pages, so if there's more than one page on the recall, then it'll each time you press each time you press cancel, it will show you. So you press recall once, and then each time you press cancel, it'll show you the next page. So have a look through there, make sure that there's no no-go items in there at all, but most of them are fairly straightforward items for this aircraft. A lot of stuff inoperative because there's not much electrical power, but nothing that should be a no-go item at this point. Things we also have to verify as well before we get too far into this. Bring up our status page, our engine page, and our status page, and make sure we have sufficient oil quantity. So 22 quarts per engine is great. That's lots. And hydraulic quantity is basically at 100% per engine. Oxygen, crew oxygen's good. Make sure that all those are topped up. If you don't top them up, if they're low, ask your mechanic to come and fill them up, or you may have issues en route. Let's see. Otherwise, let's see. We do a quick circuit breaker check here. So most of the circuit breakers are on the overhead panel. Just make sure they're all good. Look around for emergency equipment, make sure it's all good. There is an emergency hatch on the side of the flight deck that should always be closed. We have a smoke evacuation handle. It does actually work, so make sure that is in. And make sure when you come back to the overhead maintenance panel that all the guards are in. Nothing should be unguarded at this point. If you're going to go flying, APU normally should be on the TR source. And make sure that we've set the parking brake. So today we're not going to have, unfortunately, we're not going to have GSX just because this parking spot is too big, or this aircraft's too big for this parking spot that I've got it parked in today. So we're going to have to push back with the PMDG stuff, but that's fine. Once we get all that underway, then we hop right into the FMS. So I'm going to pop this out here and make sure. I'm going to move it up far enough that you can see it nicely. Enter IRS position. As always, we have to start now that we're lining it with our GPS position. Copy GPS to the IRS, and there we go. Now everything is running. It seems to know where we are, and we can go ahead and start with the routing. So it's usually a very fairly straightforward route to Toronto, and it is our flight plan route. So again, we're starting at Minneapolis, KMSP. This will be a chance to also show you just the nice flight beam scenery that I did pick up a while ago, but I don't think I've put it in any videos yet. So here's Minneapolis to Toronto, and immediately go in and start putting in a departure. So today the departure is the Walston 7 departure. And while I am sitting here, I should really grab an ATIS. And it looks like departing 12 left, 12 right, and 17. And from our cargo apron here in Minneapolis, it's probably going to be either 12 right or maybe even 17 here. Let's see. Probably 12 right would be the better bet at this point. We can always verify that with the controller once we get going here. So 12 right, Green Bay transition is the only transition. And then that's in there. Go back to the route page, and on page 2 we can start putting in our route. And it really is usually quite straightforward here. Go to my SimBrief flight plan, as always, simbrief.com. If you're not using it, use it. It's a fantastic website, and if you haven't donated, donate. Keep the website up and running. The gentleman whose name escapes me right now, who keeps it running, who created the website and keeps it running, pays out of pocket for almost all the website expenses, and it's not insignificant for the number of people that are using it. So please donate something. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot. $20 a year is not much in the grand scheme of things. People pay a lot more than that for Navigraph, and what a useful service SimBrief is. So from Green Bay direct to Iserman, and then right into the arrival in Toronto. Don't know what the weather's doing in Toronto, so I'm just going to put in an ILS to 05 for now. That's a pretty common later evening configuration, which by the time we get there it will be later evening. And we are looking for the Iserman transition. Perfect. Go back to the route page, and it should be in there. So now we go Green Bay, Iserman, and then Iserman Newbert 2. There's a route discontinuity. for the ILS-05. We'll deal with that when we get closer. That's a long way away. So for now, activate and execute the route, and boom, we have a route. If you look at the MFD, zoom out a little bit, you'll see that there is a route in there. Although it does not... anyways, is there a route in there? I would assume there's a route in there. Yes, there it is. Yep, there's the route. Yeah, perfect. So it looks like the route's in there. It's just this is our runway heading vector until we get vectored around to our route behind us there. Okay, perfect. So the route is in there, and as always with the FMC, just pretty much continue with the lower right button. It gets you to the right places. Today, cruise altitude will be 410. Apparently we're not bringing that much cargo. Speaking of the cargo, let's scroll down, and I like to, there's 3 CDUs in here. I like to keep this third CDU back here as just as my PMDG CDU, so this is where I tend to run everything PMDG aircraft related that isn't part of the normal FMC. So I keep those 2 FMCs as a standard FMC, and this third one here in the back, I tend to just run the stuff for PMDG. So having a quick look here, 10,000 extra, 65,000 pounds blocked for Toronto. We'll round that right up to 70,000 pounds. You can type in 70,000, but if you put in 70, PMDG knows you want 70,000. So if you put in a smaller number, it multiplies it by 1,000. Payload. I really didn't know what a realistic cargo payload would be in this aircraft. I really honestly don't know. I put in 55,000 pounds. It sounds like a lot, but really, I mean, this airplane could carry a lot. So if we put 45,000 pounds on the main deck, and we do that, it'll go up that high. Then we can split 5,000 between the forward and the aft lower cargo decks. Boom. Boom. And we'll just say that bulk cargo. Well, what the heck. We'll put our suitcases in bulk cargo, so it's a lot of weight for suitcases. But there it is. Payload is in there. Fuel is in there. And now what we can do is we can go back to our performance initialization, and as always, PMDG is always helping you out, so you don't have to go out of the sim to find any information. If you click on any of these, either the ZFW or the gross weight while it's blank, boom, it automatically pops that in there. So basically all you have to do is click the button again to copy it back in there. Boom, we now have a ZFW based on the payload that we've specified in the FMC in the menus. Reserves we will get from our flight plan here. Alternate today of Ottawa, 14,000 pounds to go there, and 9,000 pounds of reserve. So that adds up to 23,000 pounds. I just round to the nearest 1,000 pounds, no big deal. It's just there as a guideline. If you get to that point, things are getting a little bit hairy. You should probably be heading before you reach that 23,000, but it'll give you a warning if you reach that point and you haven't gone anywhere. So there's our cost index, 141. Again, just taking that right from our flight plan from SimBrief, and then we can go bottom right and go into thrust limitations. So, actually, let's go back to the index again for a second, and performance. A gross weight of 489,000. I mean, that's a heavy weight, but not for a 747. We could definitely take quite a lot more than that. So we could definitely do a D-rate. So I don't have any advanced D-rate calculators. I've been looking for some, but for now we'll just do a minus 5%. You know what? We could even probably like max takeoff weight in this thing could be 650,000, and we're going to be sitting at 520. The heck, let's try the takeoff too. It's a long runway as well, so. Come onto the takeoff page, select your takeoff flap setting. I'm going to do a flap 10 takeoff today. Again, it's a long runway. I don't anticipate too much issue with that. So it calculates V1, VR, and V2 for us. We just have to click them to confirm them. And again, the CG, normally you would get that from your weight of balance at an airline. Today we're going to go, boom. It says it's the CG based on the data we've input is 24, and copy it right back in there, and we have a valid CG. And I give it a couple seconds. It calculates a trim value for us as well, and as we get the aircraft configured, we can get ready to pop that trim setting in there. And we are done with the FMS setup. I am definitely not new to this anymore. I have definitely put a few hours into this airplane. It's a lot of fun though, and it's not unwieldy. You think it's a big airplane, but the 400 747 has really been a lot of automation compared to previous versions. They eliminated the first officer, or the second officer. There's no second officer back here. There are jump seats, but the systems have been so much automated that that two pilots can't really fly this airplane. So at this point now, we just step back into the doing the pre-flight, going slowly through everything, make sure everything's in the correct position. So the electronic engine controls are all in the right positions. RSs are all nav. Standby power should have been auto, and that was not as part of the power-up. That should have been done, so it was undone at some point incorrectly. We've got external power on. We could start the APU now if we're just about ready to go. I might just do it now, just so I don't forget. And so we have external power on 1 on only, and external power 2 is just showing available, which means it's available to the cargo doors as well. It's a special procedure for the cargo ones. Everything's auto. Everything is on, but nothing is running. None of the generators are running just because of the fact that the engines are off. All the hydraulic systems are currently off, and we're getting system faults, pressure faults, but all the pumps are selected on when the power comes on. Alright, moving to the center column, emergency lights should be armed, and there. Audio system normal. Interphone service is currently all off. Main fuel transfer main 1 and 4 is off. Fire protection switches are all in, and all the fire protection switches are all in. The engine start switches are all in. The ignition is at normal. Ignition auto, and fuel jettison is off. Tank aux pumps, all the tank pumps should all be off right now. The cross feeds should all be open, which means I'll bar through it to show you that the pipe continues. That means it's open. And yeah, nacelle, anti-ice, turn that on if we need it, but right now we don't need it. Wipers are off. Window heat is always on when you're going to go flying, so we'll have that on, but the wipers are all off. Lights are all as required. We've just got the nav lights on. All the rest of these lights are off for the time being. And back up to the last column, main deck signaling, something special for the cargo version only, but it's not on right now. Yaw dampers are on when the power comes on. The hydraulics come on, they'll be there. Supernumerary oxygen should just be on normal. It is. The landing field cabin altitude controls are all in automatic. Nothing's on manual mode. The fan's off right now. Trim air is on. High flow is off right now. Pack reset and cargo heat are all off. We get lots of cargo zone temperature gauges here to configure. We're just going to leave them all in auto right now. It should be fine. Equipment cooling is normal. Packs, we do have the APU on, so we can go ahead and put the packs all to normal, and that'll get us some air conditioning going. And APU is all the bleed sources are all on. Lights again are all as required, and we could test all of the indicator lights in this aircraft. Lights up like a Christmas tree. Everything is looking good up and down. And also on the main panel as well, you'll see various lights. All lights on the guidance panel come on. All the radios are all testing. And the caution warning lights all test, and we can go ahead and release that. And step back down to the main panel. It's fairly straightforward for the most part. With the main panel, all of your source selector switches should all normally be in the 12 o'clock unless something's failed or otherwise problematic. CRTs should all be normal position. Basically everything should be normal position. The FMC should normally be operating left. As we come across, and the same thing on the first officer side, everything should be in the 12 o'clock normal position, 12 o'clock normal positions. And make sure that the alternate gear is not armed, or the alternate flap, sorry, is not armed. The alternate gear is not armed. Speed brake lever stowed. The parking brake is on. All the fuel condition lever switches are all off. And thrust levers are all working. Flaps are up. The stab trim, alternate stab trim, should be all off. Radios as required, so we'll get them in a minute. And auto brakes you can't see from this perspective, unfortunately, because of my chair. But we'll get the seat belts on to indicate to anybody that's here that they have to go. Rudder trim is neutral. The aileron trim, this is one that I had, took a little while to find. It's actually on top of the control column, so the switch for it is over here. The switches for it are here, but then it's actually on top of the control column to show you if it's nose up or down, or nose left or right, I should say, sorry. And yeah, I'm just trying to I think what's the fastest way to find a position that will let me see that auto brake switch, and we should set it to RTO for the takeoff. There we go. And other than that, we're just going to set up our guidance panel. So again, Walston 7 departure here out of Minneapolis, off of runway 12 right. If that's my plan, is a heading of 121. So we'll set that on our heading bug. And the SID has a top altitude for the Walston 7 departure of, I believe, 7,000. It does, 7,000, so we'll make sure we set 7,000 in there. We leave the takeoff ref page usually up on the pilot flying side here, so you can see the takeoff refs, and we should set V2 142 on our speed. There we go. Other things we'll need to do, of course, here while we're setting up the guidance panel is make sure that the traffic is on. And it is. TCAS is off right now, but traffic is on. Any weather radar, anything you want, you can put that on. Weather radar should be off right now, but it looks like it's on. Because I'm seeing a little return there. And so we'll turn that. There we go. And yeah, set the altimeter settings. So quick check of the ATIS again here. Let's see here, light winds. It's 4 degrees and 2944. There we go, 2944. Oh, too far. Now, it's a little bit of an odd situation, but apparently this is very much like the real thing. It's a click and drag with these knobs too. That's one thing that was a little odd. Took a little getting used to. I'm okay with it now. Took me a little while to get used to it. 2944. Just make it big so you can see it nice and easy. That's all set, and just need to get our flight directors on as well, so they are ready to go, and they default to Toga, and I think we're just about ready here. So we're going to have a quick. Before we do anything else, let's just do a quick look at the clearance. So Minneapolis Center, pre-departure clearance, 3642 on the transponder, so make sure we get that in there. Another interesting little feature of this software, and I guess this is like real, is that you cannot roll past 0 on this. The dials are from 0 to 7 only, they don't roll over the top. 3642. I've seen that complaint a couple times. Oh, my transponder's not working. Oh, you can only go the one way. You can't go around the top and come back the other side. Just a different way of operating an aircraft. SID top altitude 7,000. Ground control frequency 33.4. Plan 12 right. ATC may change at any time. And 12 right. Alright, perfect. So we got all that in there. 12 right it is, 7,000. And we're ready for a quick little departure briefing here. And then we'll do some checklists. And maybe start closing up this airplane. Maybe we'll just start some of these doors and things closing. We'll say we're finished boarding. So again, into our PMDG menu, we'll... actually, you know what? I'll wait because I want to show you the animation, because I think just the animations are fantastic on this. So quickly, we'll brief the departure. So we're on the UPS ramp, the infield cargo apron. So for 12 right, it's going to be a pretty short taxi, I'd imagine. Out Tango Yankee Whiskey 10, it's going to be a super short, like 3-minute taxi. For a Walston 7 departure off of runway 12 right. And there are some restrictions on this, actually, now that I look at the SID again. For DME aircraft, assigned heading 060 clockwise to 100 class, 7 DME at or above 3,500. So, this aircraft's very easy to get this in there. Fix, MSP, there's our fix, and then we just put, for a distance, we put a slash, we put 7, and then if you look on here, you can see a 7-mile ring has popped up on our MFD, so we have to cross that ring at or above 3,500. So again, all runways fly assigned heading for radar vectors to the Gipper 072 radial to Walston, No, it's not Gipper, it's Gopher, sorry. And turbojets maintain 7,000 or lower assigned altitude. Other aircraft maintain 5,000 lower assigned altitude. And DME 12 left for assigned headings from 060 clockwise to 100. Cross 7 DME at or above 3,500. There's another airport out there we have to make sure we're over top of. Maintain assigned altitude. The top altitude again is 7,000 for jets. Terrain, 3,500 foot MSA is the highest around here from Minneapolis to the north. Weather is fine here. And nothing operational, we're just going to continue carrying on. So I'm going to quickly start releasing some of these vehicles here. So maintenance van we can release, lavatory we can release, and we'll release the tail stand, we'll release the side and the nose cargo and go to the outside. And just a second for the graphics to load there. Alright, so some of my vehicles are starting to drive away. We're going to get rid of the tail stand. There goes the lav truck. You can see these are coming down. I'm not sure that they are going to close the door automatically as they come down or not, to be 100% honest. That's okay, because the system's freezing anyways. There we go. I might have to manually close those doors. There's another menu for doors. There's also another menu for vehicles. Forward, aft, and bulk cargo are the underfloor ones on the other side here. Release those vehicles, and yes, as the vehicle goes, now you can see the animation, the door is coming down. Here comes the tug in the back to take away the tail stand. Now that we're done loading, we don't need the tail stand anymore. A lot of time was even spent on these vehicle animations. They look really good. The nice thing is that these aircraft are very nicely GSX compatible as well, though. So certain things GSX won't load. The GSX I don't believe there's any way for it to recognize the main deck cargo, but it fully recognizes the underfloor cargo. In which case it uses its own loaders. So don't use the PMDG loaders in that case. When we get to Toronto, I might be able to show you that. It's also very smart in that, like, the systems, the various aircraft vehicles will wait for each other. They won't drive through each other so much. They'll wait. One vehicle will wait until the next one's out of the way before it will move. So depending on which order you select things to move away in, they'll move away in that order. There goes the tail stand now that the belt loader's out of the way. These guys are going to start going away soon too. And I think the only thing we have left to really release at that point then is the stairs. So I'm just going to do really quickly a pre-flight checklist. It's very simple on this aircraft. Oxygen tested and 100%. Flight instruments, again, we've got heading 121 and altitude 7,000, or altimeter, excuse me, 2944 inches. Parking brake is set, and the fuel control switches are all at cutoff. The pre-flight checklist is complete, and we're ready for the pushback. What we're going to do is we are going to make sure that the APU power is on right now, and then we can go ahead and tell them to disconnect the external power as well on my number 3 here again. So we've pretty much got all these. I think we'll release the stairs here as well, and closing the door as the stairs go away. And ground connections as well, so we can release the ground power. We have the air conditioning or the APU running. There go the stairs. The doors are closed. GPU power is going to go away as well. And all I'm going to do is make sure that the doors are also armed for emergency exit, which does not matter on the cargo version. Actually, everyone on the cargo version knows how to use the doors. So pretty much we are ready to go. Let's tune in Minneapolis Center and see, and just make sure we're good for the push.
Correction, 32 right, localized, 0 report when established on the localizer. Report when established, 32 right, 680 Papa.
Minneapolis Center, good evening, UPS 922 at the infield cargo stand, request push and start.
UPS 922, heavy Minneapolis Center, roger, stand by.
Okay, we're standing by for the push. In the meantime, we'll do the before start flows, so we'll get our hydraulics all turned on to auto mode except for number 4, which goes to aux to keep the brakes running. And we can put the APU gen on because all the main cargo deck doors are all closed at this point.
680 Papa, by any chance, confirm your localizer frequency is 111.1.
We're going to turn off 2 packs, and that's basically
322.
Almost ready to go here. We've got to get the beacon on.
And we're intercepting as we speak.
And ready for before start checklist. So, where's my checklist here? Too many things on here. Before start checklist. Flight deck door will say is closed and locked. Passenger signs panel on. MCP. So we've got V2 142 heading 121 altitude 7,000 takeoff speeds. Back to that, please. V1 116 VR 123 V2 142 and CDU pre-flight is completed. This should be on the legs page. That should be on.
Wind 340 at 1.
Trims from the takeoff page here is 4.3.
Sorry, we're my 3-1 clear for takeoff.
And wow, it's way out, but we will adjust that right now.
River takeoff 3-1, fly heading 270, let's go with 3678. Let's go with 3678, left turn on course is approved.
There's 4.3. So 4.300. Taxi and takeoff briefing is complete, and beacon is on both, and we'll get the fuel pumps on as well. That's the one thing I am actually forgetting. And do we actually have fuel in the center tank? Is that why it's giving me... There we go. We have a little bit less fuel in the main tanks, 2 and 3, than 1 and 4, so it gives us...
6 Sierra Papa, you got the localizer?
Yeah, 6 Sierra Papa, we're established.
Alright, ready for pushback.
6 Sierra Papa, wind calm, runway 32 right, clear for land.
Moves the wheel chocks.
Land 6 Sierra Papa, 32 right.
Do a 90-degree turn. Minneapolis Center, UPS 922. Are we good for push and start at the infield cargo apron?
UPS 922, have you push and start your discussion?
Push and start our discussion. Thank you, UPS 922. Alright, good for the push and start. And so left and 90 degrees.
284, expect ILS for my 12 right approach. Minneapolis South Road 2943.
They want the tail to our left.
And expect 12 right.
Roger that. Ready for pushback. Tail to the left. Release brake, please.
United 329, leaving my air.
Okay, parking brake is coming off. Away we go.
Brakes released.
United 329, 2 unit combo, bye.
Alright, any second we're going to go here. Don't mind the clipping of my headrest here.
Brakes released. Here we go.
There we go. Alright, we're going to start 4 and 3 to start here. So pull out the start switch 4 and 3. And fuel on, and we should have engine pages up here. And I'll bring them up here because it's just easier to spot them. So we definitely got rotation here. We got fuel flow. We got EGT coming in. EGT's coming up. Everything is slowly increasing here. And just monitor. So you can start 2 engines at a time. As long as you turn off the APU, at least 2 of the 3 packs, you'll have enough power to turn on, to start 2 engines simultaneously, which is great. Starting 1 engine at a time in this aircraft would just take forever. You'd be sitting here for 7 minutes, 8 minutes just starting all 4 engines. But with the automated start, all you have to do is pull the starter, throw the fuel lever up, and then it'll run itself. It'll add the fuel at the appropriate point. When it reaches minimum rotation, all you've got to do is just watch it. Just watch it, monitor it, make sure that nothing's being exceeded. Once N2 gets to about 50%, then the starter will disengage. The starter's driving the N2, so at 50% you'll hear a click. You'll notice that they're not quite in sync, but they're pretty close. So if I scroll up a little bit here, you'll see when these cross 50, you'll hear a click as the starts goes back in. There's 3, And there's any second now there'll be 4, and when the light goes out that means that the valve did successfully close. Alright, and I think that's far enough back because now it looks like we've almost pushed too far. So we'll just say stop here, please. And it looks like we got stable start on number 3. See the EGT coming down. Stable start on number 4.
Yeah, 3678, confirm left turn on course approved.
And if I hit stop, is he still going to give me audio comms?
Course approved, Skyway 3678.
Alright, let's start engines 1 and 2.
Mail center Bonanza 900 902 Tango.
Over 902 Tango, Minneapolis Center.
Alright, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, so I'm just going to set the parking brake. I haven't had to hit stop before, so I don't know if he was going to do it. I've missed GSX. I wish GSX had pushed us back in the center of that line, but that's okay. We're okay.
Tango. Cleared from Mercer County Regional Airport to Dixon Airport.
Alright, so we do have... Everything's increasing. N2's increasing. N1's increasing. EGT is increasing. Oil pressure is slowly increasing, just a little bit at a time here.
Clue to Dickinson, as files 8000 and 4547 902 Tango.
Over 900, correction over.
Takes a while to get those giant engines spinning, but...
Clearance void up on Alpha 0345, Sun Alpha 0345, advise Minneapolis Center not later than 0450.
Alright, and just a quick little weather update for my active sky, just to make sure I have active weather there. Alright, and come back here. We're almost started. I heard 1 click, 50%, light goes out. Click 2, 50% light goes out. Alright, so the starter's disengaged. Engines are finishing their acceleration. Our pushback is complete.
Delta 4, Delta 14.
Alright. So it looks like we got 2 stable starts. They're both EGTs are dropping as the speeds are stabilizing. I'd say we've got 2 good starts there on both engines. So we can go ahead and commence with the before taxi flow. So again, follow a similar pattern, always kind of left to right, down, bottom to top. So APU off. Make sure that before you do that, that the both APU generators are showing available, meaning that the generators all picked up what they're supposed to. Hydraulic system number 4 to auto now, because and see the pressure light go out, because now we do have the engine running. We can use that for the brakes. If you need any anti-ice, you'd put that on. We don't need that. Put the packs back on though, so the aircraft does pressurize and stay properly cool. Flaps you can set. Flap 10, and a quick flight control check. Status screen. Pop it up if you like. And all the flight controls are in the bottom here. So quick elevator check, and I've got this low right now. There it is. Those are the proper positions. So elevator. And you can see as I move it, the elevator goes up and down. When I turn the ailerons, you'll see the ailerons and the spoiler on the corresponding upgoing wing deployed, or downgoing wing, upgoing aileron. And a quick rudder check. You have to hold it there for a couple seconds before the hydraulics drive those giant controls all the way to their position. And last but not least, a quick little recall of the ICAS system. TCAS is off.
The Dickinson altimeter.
And the TCAS system is now on, which will make the controller happy. And that's it. So before taxi checklist, again, anti-ice is it's 4 degrees and it just started raining here. So we're actually going to go now with nacelle anti-ice anyways. And in a second the valves will agree and those valve lights will go out. There we go. Nacelle anti-ice is on. Recall again is checked. Auto brake is RTO, and flight controls are checked. Ground equipment is all clear before taxi checklist is complete.
Maintain 4,000 till south from the localizer clear ILS and right 1-2 right approach.
Bit of a rainy evening out here now.
090 20% clear ILS 1-2 right, Delta 49.
And Minneapolis, UPS 922 ready for taxi. Alright YouTube, so we're just going to cut off the video right here. It took us a good 40 minutes to do the entire pre-flight, but that was with me also gushing a little bit over how nice this airplane looks and how well it works. So we're going to stop the video right now, and we're going to resume with the taxi, takeoff, climb out in the next video. Probably that sounds a little bit boring, but what I am also going to do in the next video is show you some of the stuff that the airplane can do, show you some of the detail from the outside once we get flying. Some of the excellent model work that's been done on the outside, on the inside as well, show you some of the neat little features that maybe not everybody who flies this airplane is aware of. So stick with me for part 2. Thanks very much for watching part 1, and we will see you again next time. Thanks.
This is going to be a horrible airplane to maneuver, and really it's not so bad.